Hello and welcome back to my workshop. Everybody who does woodwork will know the problem I've had, and that is storing wood when you've got a very small workshop. So this quick video is going to show you how to make this lumber rack so you can store your wood as effectively as possible. Let's have a look and see how I did it. So I decided the only available space I had was where these two cupboards were. So first things to do was to empty the cupboards, which were full of rubbish anyway, and then basically take them off. Now obviously this were all built in when I built the garage, so made up of just bits of MDF. So basically took it off the wall and quickly brushed the wall just to check the condition. Now this is a brick wall, so I shouldn't have any problems with fixing to the wall. Selected my sheet of ply, which was an offcut from a previous project. Now this is the only ply I had this size, which was 18mm ply. So basically the size of each shelf was dependent on the size of the ply. Just cut it into rectangles like this. I won't give you any dimensions because your workshop's probably different than mine, and then basically chop them diagonally each, so this is the basic end size that the rack's going to be. Cut the first one diagonally by eye and then use that as a template or a supporting bracket just to cut the rest. This made things a lot quicker. Then I could just basically run them through the bandsaw, because obviously I've got going to have 9 of these shelves, so it's 18 cuts. Now here you can basically see the rough idea of how each shelf is going to be. So it's basically 2 triangular pieces with a batten in the middle supported by a batten that's screwed to the wall. So what I have to do is cut each of the battens for the shelves. I think these are about 14 inches long for my shelves, and there you can see obviously the batten of the shelf is the same size as the batten on the wall, so I was using an offcut of batten just as a size guide, and then basically gluing and brad nailing the triangular pieces to the shelving batten. These were later screwed together, so basically the brad nails are just there to hold it while the glue sets. Obviously I had a lot of these to do, and finally by the time we got to the last couple I had myself a little system going. So as you can see by the pace of the video, this was very quick. It didn't take a lot of time at all, which makes video recording slightly difficult, but the basic principle here is just basically 3 components for each shelf: glue, brad nails and then some screws. Now once they're all done, then I basically took them to the bandsaw and trimmed off the rough edges. Obviously these are not supposed to be pretty because it's a piece of workshop equipment. You could go to town on this and really, you know, sand them all down and put fancy ends on them, but this was just, I needed a rack and this was basically my solution. Then it was the battens that are actually screwed to the wall. So I'd measured the piece of wall where the cupboards originally were, decided to have 3 battens. Each batten had 4 holes drilled in it, with a countersink so the screws could actually be flush. Then measuring up the wall, using my laser level here as obviously a guide for the battens on the wall, using each batten to mark some holes in the wall, then drilling the wall with a small masonry bit and then a larger masonry bit and some raw plugs, and then basically screwed each batten to the wall first by hand and then screw it in with a drill driver. Here you can just see it being screwed to the wall, fixing firmly. Now these are remarkably strong. If you've ever screwed a piece of wood to a wall, you'll know how strong it can be. Now on the left hand strut, I basically put the 3 shelves roughly where I wanted them, then using my laser level marked out the other 2 battens, which made life very simple for fixing the remaining shelving. Now once these are in place, each one had a couple of screws either side. There was no dimensioning for where the screws went. As long as they went through the ply and went into the batten, they were good. So each shelf is held in with 4 screws. Now onto the lower part of the wood storage, which is going to be just for my offcuts of hardwood. So I started off with half a sheet of 18mm MDF and just basically cutting it firstly into manageable sizes, and you'll see here that I've got an approximate size of the top and the bottom of the cupboard. Just try it for size here. Yeah, that's about the size I'm going to want it. So a quick measurement of how much space I've got left. The other half of the sheet of MDF, this is just to cut the 2 sides and the middle strut, and then I can quickly offer it up to see if the idea will basically work. So put away the remaining bit of MDF. This is basically how it's going to look. Quickly had to mark out because I had a bit of trunking across the back of the wall, and then use my bandsaw to quickly cut out a recess for the trunking because I didn't want to damage any of the wiring. Then I used my pocket hole jig for the joints. So basically the whole thing's going to be held together with glue and brad nails, but also with some pocket hole joints. Now I don't normally recommend using pocket hole joints in MDF, but in this case it's just a piece of workshop equipment. It's fine, it's strong. What could possibly go wrong if it fails? Then the construction of it is, as I say, just gluing, brad nails, and then screwing it in with the pocket hole jig. Now this is the middle strut here because obviously there's going to be some weight on the top. And also I need a partition for different types of wood. Just a very simple construction of a box. Here putting in the remaining screws to hold the top. You can just about see the little cutouts there for where the trunking goes. And now I had to put a brace across the back just to give it some rigidity. It's fairly solid as it is, but you do need some bracing just to make sure it doesn't lozenge and collapse under its own weight. Here putting in the strut across the back, I realised that the actual box was slightly skewed, so obviously the strut wouldn't fit in, so I had to use a strap here just to pull it briefly into square while I'm putting in my struts. Same again, glue, brad nails and some screws. Then that's the box almost complete. So all I had to do now is final checks, little bit of adjustment, final 2 screws on the middle strut, and then it can go into position. Now you may have noticed that I've used MDF for the lower box, but plywood for the actual shelving. This is because plywood is much more stable and less likely to rip out. So I would highly recommend doing it that way. Overall, a very, very cheap storage rack and should serve you well. And there's the final product.
So this is the final lumber rack, all fully filled up with wood. This is all the bits of wood I had around the workshop. They used to be stored behind me and it was in the right mess. So every time you want a piece of wood, you had a wood avalanche. There was wood everywhere. Organising it like this, I have all my hardwoods on the bottom, I have my softwoods in the middle, and up the top I have some flat boards, which are a combination of softwood and hardwood. And down here I have smaller offcuts of hardwood that I want to keep hold of, which are always good for making smaller projects. I hope this has been of some help to people with smaller workshops where wood storage is always a problem. This is a very cheap solution to storing your wood, and I highly recommend doing this. It's stronger than it looks. There are alternatives. You can buy metal brackets and metal battens that go on the wall, which are quite effective, but for me, this was a quick, cheap, easy solution. So I hope you enjoyed that video, hope you learned something, and if you do make one of these, let me know how you get on, let me know if you make any improvements. Okay, thank you very much for watching, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye. The most of very limited storage space. Hello, welcome back to my workshop. Now today's quick video is the